again. Yeah. Yeah, we're back again. Understanding the Bible Radio. Ron Saxton here. Want to thank you for stopping by. Think we can finish this one out, man. We only got like 5, 6 more chapters. Think we could do them all in one set. Don't have to break it up into another part. 1 Samuel. Yes. No tithing, no seed sowing. Yeah. No tithing, no seed sowing, no products sold here, no money, none of that. Period. Live study is what you got. Looking through 1 Samuel, going to end it out. First King, Saul here. Saul, first king of the Israelites. He is dead. God repented that he made Saul king. Samuel is the prophet of the Lord. Okay? You gotta understand that. Here it comes.
This is in-depth study of the Christ, the propitiation,
Yes.
the begotten Son, the Lord, the Judge, the Ruler, the Standard, the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, the one, the true Jesus Christ. Here on Understanding the Bible Radio, on-screen study, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on-screen undeniable facts of Scripture.
Yes. We're getting it done. Last final part of Samuel, 1 Samuel. Then we're going to go into the next set of studies, which will probably could be later today, maybe more than likely later tomorrow. Okay, later tomorrow we will start with 2 Samuel, find out what's going on there. See what's going on as we can chronologically in our Bible, canonized Bible, go through and see what happened with the Lord and the 12 tribes. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see everything that goes through. Now, we've already done Jeremiah, so we will skip Jeremiah as we're going through chronologically. It's already on the YouTube. In fact, if you want to use that and study as we continue on past Jeremiah, you can do that. It's all there. It's on screen. It's live, and all the studies are there. All right, so you don't have to just jump on the live or whatever. Whenever you want, come to the channel, hit videos, hit playlists, whatever have you. Go through, look, and check it out. You must understand that there are 2 covenants that we hold significant. Well, I'm sorry. Let me say this. There is a covenant that the majority of us hold significant, which is the Mosaic covenant. Okay, people are speaking and not even speaking about the covenant that Christ has established that is in full effect right now. They don't speak about that one. And I can understand why. Because many people speak from the covenant of the Mosaic covenant. Well, in Jeremiah, he says that he did divorce that covenant with them. Jesus in the New Testament states that he has now established the new, he says, this is my blood of the New Testament, which is in the King James English Testament, but it really means covenant. Okay, that's what it means. I don't know why they just couldn't put covenant there, but it's there. We've done the study on it. That is the one that's in full effect. The Mosaic covenant has been disannulled, erased, over and done. So as you're trying to do things and operate in that covenant, and we're still reading it now because he hasn't divorced it yet. If you're trying to relay those things to yourself now, like I once did also, because that's what the ministers were telling me and the other Christians and people were communicating, okay? You're in error. And they may not know it, whoever's telling you, but the most prominent, most learned ones must know it. They have to. And they're not telling you about partaking of Christ's current covenant. Okay? That's very important. If you don't understand what I said, just rewind it back, rewind the video back, listen to what I just said again. I am so grateful to God the Father that he heard my cry, and then he helped me understand and revealed to me about this problem that I was having, the covenantal problem. You're trying to do stuff that is no longer able for a human to do with me, is what he's saying. This is how a human now needs to do with me under this current covenant. Okay? Christ has established it. This is how you will get to the Father. I may do a study on that later because I need to reiterate some things and show definitively what Jesus is saying definitively. There is no other but this says that no, this is what he's saying. Period. And you either going to have to get with it, you're going to either have to accept it, or you're going to have to reject it and follow something else. It's up to you. But this is free. There's no ads. There's no money. There's none of that here. No products. This is the real deal. In order for you to come into the covenant of Christ, it's not by doing the Mosaic covenant. That's not what he said. Okay, so I'm going to jump in here. Now we're going into chapter 16. We're going into chapter 16. Yes, the covenant of the Mosaic covenant is still in effect right now. As we're looking at Samuel, it's in effect in the book of Samuel, still in effect, okay? So this is not the covenant of Christ anywhere here. We're seeing what happened with the Lord establishing kings now for Israel, because that's what they wanted, even though he told them it was bad. That's not good, because this is what they're going to do. These kings are going to take your this, your that, your this, and take it to himself and give it to his soldiers, his people that he's chosen. He's going to take away from you and use for himself, basically, is what he's saying. And they still said, we want a king. And all the way up to this point, Samuel has repeated it, and Saul has repeated it over and over, the same deal. That was the problem, but they still, don't listen, and they only listen when things are going bad. That's the only time they listen. Then when it's going good, they don't want to listen. So here we go. Chapter 16, we're going through and see what else happens here. And the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil and go, and I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. I think I know who this is. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. Now, I don't even realize why Samuel asked that, because if the Lord told him to go, he should have just been going. Even though he knows Saul is probably going to try to kill him, I would be knowing that he's going to not kill me and injure me or whatever, because I'm doing this based on what the Lord said. Okay? So that's very important. But Samuel is taking fear. He's becoming afraid. So the Lord still reinforces. He still strives there. He reinforces him and tells him what to do. All right. I am come to sacrifice to the Lord, and call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. Now, hold on. I'm sorry. I got to do something here. A little something. Thanks for joining, stopping in. You guys can like it, share it. It's totally up to you. Totally up to you. No biggie. Not getting paid for this at all. Just in case someone needs to hear and see, because I have not read all the way through the Old Testament. I've trusted other ministers and pastors and people alike to know it for me, and I should not have done that. And now I'm taking it upon myself to find out what actually happened in all the detail that I can see and that I could find. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now, going through the Old Testament books of the Bible to see everything that took place. And I can also tell you that I am not proud, and I would not be proud to be calling myself a Hebrew or a Israelite or whatever based on what I'm seeing in regards to them at all. Nor would I be proud to say or imply at all that I am doing the Mosaic Law, because all I've seen is that trying to do the Mosaic Law will run you into more debauchery. It will not give you favor with God trying to do it, because I can see, based on the Hebrew Israelites here, as coming from Egypt also, the moment they tried to do it, really get in there and do it, the more debaucherous they became. They wanted more. The desire against the law came in and grew in them to do even more debauchery over and over and over. And I can understand they don't even know why they want to do it. Well, we know that other God is not you, Lord, but Balaam, we want to do that. We want him. We don't want you. Then when they get into Balaam and Balaam's people oppress the Israelites, oh Lord, help me, save me, Lord God. Oh, I love. Oh, we will do all that you want. Oh God, we'll come and serve you if you save us. That's all they did. Every time they did this over and over. So you know what? I'm not trying to do the law. I'm not trying to do a Mosaic Law. I'm not trying to. I refuse to try to do that. No. There's a law of the Spirit of life that is only found in Christ Jesus that will save me from the law of sin and death, which comes from the Mosaic Law. I mean, you got to understand that. So I understand it, and I'm not done. Anybody out there claiming that they're doing it and claiming, you better run. Claiming that's what you got to do. You better run. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm not the only one that's experienced that, I'm sure. You try to do it, and then you just, you want to run and do some crazy stuff. You come on. I'm going to admit it. Shoot, I'm going to admit it. I am not going to say any different and try to promote to man that I'm holy. I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. All right. Let's see. So now here's verse 4. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, Comest thou peaceably? We're afraid. We're scared. And he said, Peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass when they were come that he looked on Eliab and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. Now let's look at who Eliab is. Let's go there. Let's go there and see. Let's see what it says in the Hebrew lexicon.
Strong's H 446. Eliav, Eliav,
Pretty short, so let's go right to the lexicon. Prince of Zebulun. Nope, that's not the one. Prince of Reuben. Nope, that's not the one. David, brother of David. Yeah, we're in. Okay, brother of David. All right. Okay, and there you go. So the outline is kind of thick there. David's oldest brother, a Levite musician, Gadite warrior of David, a Kehathite. No, so we know it's got to be just this one. Got to be this one, or maybe both these two. Maybe. No, he's a Gadite. So maybe if they didn't switch that and named him after the city they came from. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see more. Excuse me. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance. Don't look at how well he looks appearing to you. Because they just had Saul everybody looked at him and was like, oh yeah, he's the king. Oh, but now he said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Or on the height of his nature, because I have refused him. Look at that. I'm not worried about how good you look. I ain't worried about that. For the Lord hath seen as man seeth. Wow. That's that's a point I never seen before. Other than him knowing that, the heart of men, I can see it. But it says here, for the Lord seeth not, as man seeth. Okay, I can come down now. I made a mistake. I'm in error there. My bad. The Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looketh on the outward. Yes, we do. But the Lord looketh on the heart. Yeah. Then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, neither hath the Lord chosen this. Now these are his sons, so they're all David's brother. I mean, we can surmise that. You don't have to really look at the definition there on that. And Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel, and Samuel said unto Jesse, the Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent, my sinus is bothering me, I'm sorry. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy withal of a beautiful countenance and godly to look to. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon, not indwelling, not in his soul, not to live inside, but came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. Got it? And an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Oh, they didn't want to tell us this one. It's right here in the scripture. It's right here. Here it is. Now let me do this. To be really deep on this one, to get really down and nail it down. Let me see. I think I have a 1611 online version I can show you guys. I think I'm going to pull that up to see. Now, the English doesn't look the same as it does here with the lettering, but let's see if it's going to be the same. It's to say the same deal. Oh, I could have took words, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with 1 Sam 16. And I think it's, 14 did I say, Samuel? 14, yep. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to blow this up. Since I'm using this on the presentation PC, and I'm going to show it. so that you can see it also on your device. A look. But the Spirit of the Lord is the same. Spirit, well, it's kind of different. The V looks different there, you see. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil, look at there, evil spirit from the Lord. Okay, now I'm not saying the Lord is the devil and the evil, but the Lord can, as he did with Paul, he allowed a demon. He probably had a purpose for him. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go over there and do this to my servant, or do this to my, well, like this. An evil spirit from the Lord troubled him. Okay, we're going to see more about that. I'm sure I've heard stories, so we're going to see it. And Saul's servant said unto him, Behold, now an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Now, I would understand that the reason why they are saying that to him is because they know that God has selected him as king. So they understand that. Well, now if God selected you, now if God said that and God put you in this position, and now you're dealing with this, it has to be in God's purpose. It got to be in God's will that you now going through this, because you were chosen by him to be king, correct? Yeah. All right. Let our Lord now command thy servants, which are before thee, to seek out a man who is a cunning player on a harp. What does this got to do with music? Cunning. I don't like the word cunning. All right. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. So it's like gets rid of the spirit, I guess. There must be a tradition among them, or some type of understanding, spiritual working for them to do this. How else would they know it? And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing. He's going to send one of his brothers? David's brothers over there? And a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Lord is with him. And wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, Send me David. Oh, he's talking about David, thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. So now David is Saul's armor bearer. And Saul went to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon, not inside, he wasn't possessing him, he was upon, okay, Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand, so Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. That is the end of 16. Questions, comments, I know you must have them about this. Come on. I know you've got something to say on this one. Think about it. Now, the Lord sent an evil spirit to Saul. He's no longer happy with Saul. He repented that he had Saul there. He's already picked David. So what would the Lord be doing here? Is the Lord now making a way in for David to come in and become king? That's what I would see. Saul didn't have the Holy Spirit, the evil spirit upon him when he requested David. Okay, so maybe it's the way in. So we got to see. But the Lord is doing something there. But he's selected David already, and he wants Saul out. So let's see. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shacho, I would say, all right, which belongeth to Judah. Now they still They still trying to fight. Now they done had hemorrhoids from God. God done gave them severe hemorrhoids. Okay, trying to take the ark of the Lord. He gave them severe hemorrhoids, slew some of the men, and they said, look, let's get this thing back with some gold in it as a peace offering. Okay, they got the peace offering, got everything back. Okay, the hemorrhoids is gone. Everything's cool. All right, we Philistines, we straight. Now, well, I guess because Saul went and fought against them and beat them. Now they retaliating them back again, I guess. Time done passed. Now let's fight some more. You know, we got nothing better to do but just fight anyway. We got nothing better to do for no reason. We just gonna fight each other. You know, family, friends, we just gonna fight because that's what we feel like doing. I ain't got no reason to. I just want to because I'm gonna make up a reason just to fight you. Well, fine. Because here they come again. All right, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shako, I want to say, and Azekah in Ephisdemim. Don't get me lying on that. I'm not good on this Hebrew language. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. Okay. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath. Oh, Goliath in the picture now. Here we go. We got the man. We got him. We getting ready to slew all y'all Hebrew Israelites. Look at him. We don't even need to do nothing. We got Goliath. Okay, of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. I'm sure we know this story. And he had an helmet of brass, okay, upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. Now, we got to look at this. What is coat of mail? Because you know what I think mail is. You know, this is what they put in the box.
Strong's H, 7193.
You know.
Keseth.
All late and stuff, like 7, 8 o'clock at night, they delivering the mail. That's what I think, but let's see. Let's see what it is. Here's Samuel. Of scale armor. Okay, so it's armor. All right, plural fix. Okay, plural suffix. Okay, twice in the of Pharaoh under figure of. Okay, it's a scale armor. It's an armor. It's very thick, barely very strong, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bread. That's heavy, but he's a big guy. He's a big giant guy. Okay, or he's tall, real big. Okay, he's Goliath. Let's look up Goliath right here. Let's look it up.
Strong's H, 1555. Goliath.
I don't want to try to pull up no pictures of him, so, because, we probably have exaggerated or whatever by now. He got one eye and horns out his head and all that kind of stuff. 3 fingers, Let's just look and see what it's saying. Splendor. That's what it's saying. There's his name. The Philistine giant of Gath, slain by David's sling. Didn't want to really jump ahead there, but I wanted to get in here and see if we had any other detail. Nope, no other detail there. So he is a giant. He's a tall, big guy. All right. And he had a helmet. Okay, we saw that. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs and a target of brass between his shoulders. Okay, so he's all brassed up. He got his own armor. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam. It's pretty big, I'm sure, pretty big and huge. And he's probably throwing the regular spears of regular soldiers like a toothpick or something, like maybe like a popsicle stick. He just ping, ping. This one is probably a big one. Okay, big, thick, monstrous beam. And his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. This super huge. And one bearing a shield went before him. And I don't know why we haven't heard about him until now. You know what I mean? They done battled back and forth. How come they didn't bring Goliath up until now? But anyway, and he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, I guess his voice would be something like, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? And I am not a Philistine. Am I not a Philistine? And ye servants to Saul, choose you a man for you and let him come down to me. I would think, okay? I'm just, if he be able to fight with me and to kill me, okay, that's Goliath's voice, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. Okay, we're going to make a deal before we fight. Here's the prize, okay? And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Very timid. Okay, very timid. All right, fearful, affrighted, terrified. That's what they were. And David was the son of that. And David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he said, and he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. I got to handle my business. I'll be back, king. I'll be back. I got to handle my business. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So they've been waiting on these mountains for 40 days as the giant goes back and forth, trying to find who will do it, who will battle me. Let's get it. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting. They were fighting now, okay? I guess nobody could find nobody to fight Goliath, so they just started fighting. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse commanded him, his father. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. Okay, there you go. All right. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, his brethren, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of the Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistine, and spake according to the same words David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid, terrified. And the men of Israel said, ye have seen this man, that is come up, surely to defy Israel he is come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. What? You telling me he gonna do all this? If you take this dude out, the king is gonna do all this for the one man that can do this. Okay. All right, I see. They didn't talk about this part. I see. And David spake to them, and stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and take away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? That's what I'm talking about right there, baby. That's what I'm talking about. He's what? I don't care how big. Who is the, what? We are the armies of the living God, man. And you what? Let me get my. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. You gonna get the king's daughter. He gonna hook you up. He gonna make your house free. He gonna do it all. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David. His brother got mad. You little sheep herder. You can't do nothing. Who is you? Why are you going to come up here talking this bull? Now remember, this didn't even say anything about the Spirit of the Lord coming on David and speaking out these great words of courage. It didn't say none of that right here. Nothing. Okay? And he said, why camest thou down hither? What you come down here for, big bruh? If you wasn't going to do no battle, what you come down here for? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. You ain't even come here to fight. You just came to look at it. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. Now he done told him what David said. He said, wait, David, you ain't supposed to be going down there running your mouth. What is you doing? You ain't supposed to be doing that. And David said unto Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, but a boy. And he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock, and I went out after him, and smote him, the bear and the lion, all right, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. This is David talking, all right, as a boy. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, he knows who did it. He knows who made him able to do it. And out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. All right, he got the real thick metal armor on, and all that. Put your armor on, the armor of the Lord, blah, 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 blah. You know how they did. They took put your armor on. Well, this ain't the armor of the Lord. This is the armor of King Saul. So, okay. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. In other words, he hasn't trained in them. He hasn't, done any training in this armor. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. And wow, that's some strong words right there. And then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. Whoa, man. Ooh, and I will give the carcasses of the hosts of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistines. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So hard it went and sunk into his head. Unless the Lord was there and helped push it in when he hit him. Either way. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him, but there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel of Judah arose and shouted, and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley of the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Sharam, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. And then Saul said, David, go forth against the Philistine. And he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? The captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, As thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine. Abner took him and brought him before Saul, and with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou? Whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse, the Bethlehemite. Ugh. Okay. So we got to go to 18. I got to keep going, man. This is cool. This is cool. This is good. This is okay. I'm understanding. Okay. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own son. And Saul took him that day, and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant, because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him, and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely, and Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music, celebrating. Got a party going on. And the women answered one another as they played, and Saul played and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth. Yeah, envious, jealous. Okay. And the saying pleased him and displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day. He eyed him and forward. You know what that means. He looked at him with disdain on, how can I kill this so-and-so? How can I get rid of him? Let's take a look at eyed there.
Strong's H, 5770. Ovan.
Enviously. What is Atkins? Let's see what Atkins is. Let's go to the Webster's 1828. That's interesting. That's an old English word we probably have never obliquely towards one corner of the eye. Yeah, you know how we say it in our Ebonics, in my Ebonics. I don't know about yours. Looking at me sideways. Yeah, you looking at me sideways. That's basically what he's saying there. Askins. Yeah. I'm looking for comments, man. What you got? Got any comments? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I gotta open it back up. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I can get this, close this out and this out. Good deal. Okay. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hand as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast a javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him, and was departed from Saul. Yeah, envy. Envy. Yeah. Therefore, Saul removed him from him, and made him his captain over 1,000, and he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and came in before them. And Saul said to David, Behold my elder daughter Merab, her will I give thee to wife. Only be thou vigilant for me, and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul said, Let not mine hand be upon him, but let the hand of the Philistines be upon him. You in there, I'm going to get you killed. I'm going to let you go to battle and let them kill you. And David said unto Saul, Who am I? And what is my life, or my father's family in Israel, that I should be a son-in-law to the king? Trying to get out of it. But it came to pass at the time when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given to Adriel, the Maholathite. Mahalathite, whatever, to wife. And Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David. And they told Saul, and the thing pleased him. And Saul said, I will give him her, that she may be a snare. Ooh, be careful. They're giving you good accolades. They're giving you good stuff. Oh, they're rewarding you, patting you on the back. Let me give you a reward. Look at there. May be a snare to him. And that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Wherefore Saul said to David, Thou shalt this day be my son-in-law in the one of the twain. And say, I didn't know about this. And in the one of the twain. And Saul commanded his servants, saying, Commune with David secretly, and say, Behold, the king hath delight in thee, and all his servants love thee. Now, therefore, be the king's son-in-law. Man, it's a straight drama. And Saul's servant spake those words in the ears of David, and David said, Seemeth it to you a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor man and lightly esteemed? And the servants of Saul told him, saying, On this manner spake David. And Saul said, Thus shall ye say to David, The king desireth not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to be avenged of the king's armies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. Wherefore David arose and went, and he and his men, and slew the Philistines, 200 men. David brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife. And Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was yet the more afraid of David. And Saul became David's enemy continually. But he's still trying to swindle him. Yeah, you're my enemy, but I want to keep you right here. Then the princes of the Philistines went forth, and it came to pass after they went forth, David behaved himself more wisely, than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much set by. So I'm just going to try to tone things down, keep my name out your mouth, stay out your head, but you in there, man. You can't get out of there. But so you see the drama here. You see the drama. One selected by God to be king. Excuse me. He becomes king. And he just offers his sacrifices when he wants. Just don't even listen to the Lord. Does what he wants, to go to war when he wants. Do what he want to do. This is the problem. This is the problem. The Lord selected you, the Lord anointed you, the Lord for a position of or whatever have you. Here you go. You're getting big. Britches getting big. Getting too big. Got to stay humble to the Lord. That's the key. You need to stay humble to him. Do as he says. Do what he tells you to do. Stay humble, and everything will be all right. The moment you step out of bounds, you think you can just do it and come back, do it and come back, do it and come back out of his purpose and will. Okay. Now this all the sin stuff, I don't want to hear about that, because the law of the 10 Commandments divorce Jeremiah 3:8. I'm talking about doing his purpose, doing his will. So Saul don't want to get off the throne. Saul is full of himself. The Samuel already done told Saul repeatedly, listen, he's already chosen somebody else. He's not dealing with you no more. He's always chosen somebody else. But you just ain't removed from the position yet, because David's not ready. He's still young. Okay. He's not ready. All right. So we are going to go into 18 and continue on. I'm finishing up at 21 today, finishing it out. And it came to pass, when he had made the end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And they were very close, very strong, that kind of deal. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's. Oh, no, wait a minute. Oh, no, wait a minute. Did I just do 18? Somebody hit me on the chat. Hold on. Yeah, I just did 18. Sorry. All right, so we're going to 19. All I had to do was go here and then hit 19. Man, I'm thinking I had already changed it. All right. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son and to all his servants, and they should kill David. But Jonathan Saul's son delighted much in David, and Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeketh to kill thee. Now therefore, I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in a secret place, and hide thyself. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where thou art, and I will commune with my father of thee, and what I see that I will tell thee. So now it's a game of spies. Okay. David then married the daughter. The son of Saul now is tight with David. Okay, now we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. Jonathan spake good of David to Saul his father, and said unto him, Let not the king sin against his servant, against David, because he hath not sinned against thee, and because his works have been to thee-ward very good. But for he put his life in his hand, and slew the Philistine, and the Lord wrought a great salvation for all Israel. Thou sawest it, and didst rejoice. Wherefore then wilt thou sin against an innocent blood to slay David without cause? And Saul hearkened unto the voice of Jonathan, and Saul sware, As the Lord liveth, he shall not be slain. And Jonathan called David, and Jonathan showed him all those things, and Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as in times past. And there was war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines again, and slew them with a great slaughter, and they fled from him. Again, they running back. What did they understand? Y'all not gonna win. And the evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul. Again, the Lord sends it. Wow. The Lord's doing something here with that. As he sat in his house with his javelin in his hand, and David played with his hand. And Saul sought to smite David. He said he wasn't going to do that, even to the wall with the javelin. But he slipped away out of Saul's presence, and he smote the javelin into the wall, and David fled and escaped that night. He lied to his son and told him I won't do it, but he did it anyway, with the help of the evil spirit that the Lord sent. This I'm now understanding. The Lord can send you evil spirits. Okay? Okay. For his purpose, of course. Okay? Because he's dealing with the ones that he's purposing to be king. Didn't say it came unto Samuel. It says it's coming unto the first king, Saul, and he's already chosen the second king, David. So now he needs to bring distinction between the two, even though they're working very closely. David keeps running away from the javelin, keeps running away from the king trying to kill him, but then he comes back. Well, that's what the Lord wants him to do. Okay. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning. And Michal, I want to say is her name, David's wife, told him, saying, If thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed, and put a pillow of goat's hair from his bolster and covered it with a cloth. For his bolster and covered it with a cloth to make him look like David's laying in the bed. And when Saul sent messengers to take David, she said, He is sick. And Saul sent messengers again to see David, saying, Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may slay him. Oh my God. Oh. And when the messengers were come in, behold, there was an image in the bed with a pillow of goat's hair for his bolster. He gonna be mad at his daughter. And Saul said unto Michal, Why hast thou deceived me so, and sent away mine enemy, that he is escaped? And Michal answered and said, Saul, he said unto me, Let me go. Why should I kill thee? So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done unto him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naioth, I guess. And it was told Saul, saying, Behold, David is at Naioth in Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David, and when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul. And they also, then turned them into prophets. There you go. And when it was told Saul, he sent other messengers. You ain't got enough messengers, man. You be messing with God. Not enough. And they prophesied likewise. And Paul sent messengers again the third time. The more said. And they prophesied also. Then went he also to Ramah, and came to a great well that is in Sechu and Sechu. And he asked and said, Where are Samuel and David? And one said, Behold, they be at Naioth in Ramah. And he went thither to Naioth in Ramah, and the Spirit of God was upon him also, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Naioth and Ramah. So there you go, and Ramah. And he stripped off his clothes also, and prophesied before Samuel in like manner, and lay down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore they say, Is Saul also among the prophets? Look at this. The Spirit of the Lord got on him. He's prophesying. Oh, here we go. Now took all his clothes off land before the prophet. Still prophesying all there. Here we go. And David fled from Naioth in Ramah, and came and said before Jonathan, What have I done? What is mine iniquity, and what is my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said unto him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, that he will shew it to me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. Said, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I don't believe that my dad's trying to kill you, basically is what he's saying. And David sware, moreover, and said, Thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes. And he saith, Let not Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. Then said Jonathan unto David, Whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will even do it for thee. I'm your boy. I got your back. My daddy don't want to kill you. Listen, man, he don't want to really do that. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go, that I may hide myself in the field unto the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me, that he might run to Bethlehem, his city, for there is a early sacrifice there for all the family. One moment. All right. For if he say, Thus it is well, thy servant shall have peace, but if he be very wroth, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore, thou shalt deal kindly with thy servant, for thou hast brought thy servant into a covenant of the Lord with thee. Notwithstanding, if there be in me iniquity, slay me thyself, for why shouldest thou bring me to thy father? And Jonathan said, Far be it from thee, for if I knew certainly that evil were determined by my father to come upon thee, then would not I tell it thee. Then said David to Jonathan, who shall tell me? Or what if my father answer thee roughly? And Jonathan said unto David, come, and let us go out into the field. And they went out both of them into the field. And Jonathan said unto David, O Lord God of Israel, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow, any time, or the third day, and behold, if it be good toward David, and I then sin not unto thee, and show it thee. Whoa, he's bringing the Lord in on this. He really believes his father doesn't want to kill him. And the Lord do so, and much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do thee evil, then I will show it thee, and send thee away, that thou mayest go in peace. And the Lord be with thee, as he hath been with my father. And thou shalt not only while yet I live show me the kindness of the Lord, that I die not. But also thou shalt not cut off thy kindness from my house forever. No, not when the Lord hath cut off the enemies of David, every one from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, let the Lord even require it at the hand of David's enemies. And Jonathan caused David to swear again, because he loved him. For he loved him as he loved his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, and come to the place where thou didst hide thyself when the business was in hand, and shalt remain by the stone Ezel. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. But behold, I will send a lad, saying, go find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them. Then come thou, for there is peace to thee, and no hurt, as the Lord liveth. But if I say thus unto the young man, behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord hath sent thee away. And as touching the matter which thou and I have spoken of, behold, the Lord between thee and me forever. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king set him down to eat meat. And the king sat upon his seat, and as at the other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Paul spake not anything that day, for he thought something hath befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the month, that David's place was empty. He got 3 days to go now. And he's got, another day, but he's got a full 3 days. So it's the 2nd day. And Saul said unto Jonathan, his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat? Neither yesterday nor today. Excuse me. And Jonathan answered Saul, said earnestly, asked, leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thine eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan. Excuse me. And he said unto him, thou son of the perverse rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness? What is he talking about? And for as long as for as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he shall surely die. Now Jonathan knows that he wants to kill him. And Jonathan answered Saul his father and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out unto the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. And he said unto his lad, Run, find out now the arrows which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the lad was come to the place of the arrow which David had shot, Jonathan cried after the lad and said, Is not the arrow beyond thee? And Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and David knew the matter. So he did that and screamed out loud so David could hear him. Okay? So the little boy didn't know what was going on, because the little boy didn't want to go back and tell granddad. Okay? The king that's trying to kill David. And Jonathan gave his artillery unto his lad and said unto him, Go carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of the place toward the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed himself 3 times. And they kissed one another and wept one another until David exceeded. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, forasmuch as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed, forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. Okay? So he's telling him, I know now that my daddy wants to kill you. See you when I free you. It's okay, man. It's cool. We still boys. We still down. But you was right. Go on ahead. You know, we'll okay. We'll see you. Last one. Then we're going to do 2 Samuel. Now, 2 Samuel, well, probably Monday. I got an appointment tomorrow, so it's very, very important appointment tomorrow. So we'll come back Monday. We'll hit 2 Samuel 1, okay? But we're going to finish this out right now. Then came David to Noob and Ahimelech to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech, The priest, the king, hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now therefore, what is under what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is a hallowed bread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is a manner common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. But he's asking the priest for sacrificial food, okay? Sacrificial. That's what he's asking for. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread, there it is, that was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul. And David said unto Ahimelech, and there is not here under thine hand spear or sword, for I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath, and the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom thou slowest. Okay, I was going to say, he ain't come back, did he? Sloweth in the valley of Elah. Behold, it is here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. There is no other save that here. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went to Achish, I'll say, okay, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And David laid up these words in his heart, and was sore afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands, and scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his beard. He acted like he done went crazy. All right. Then said Achish unto his servants, lo ye, the man is mad. Wherefore then have ye brought him to me? Have I need of madmen, that ye have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? So that's it. I do believe. Let's see if I'm wrong. I am wrong. Kim's still going. Let's see. When is the second one start? I thought it was only 21. Oh man, I got more. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. Wait, let me see how far this goes. I'm going to stop right here. I thought it was only 21 chapters. No, it's 31. Okay, I'm getting old. A little off. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here. Going to pick it up. Might come back later on tonight. Do some. I've got some stuff to do. But I have an appointment tomorrow, so I won't be back tomorrow. And I know it's Sunday and big family day and all that good stuff, so good deal. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. I see no chats, no comments, no nothing. And that's okay. No problem. I will be back. We're going to continue on with 22, get the next part Monday. We'll try to do it Monday. Might be back tonight to do another study, or tomorrow evening to do another study, but it won't be Samuel. It may be something else, okay? Maybe something else going on, some things going on there, some stuff, Christ Covenant study. How about something like that? Because I need to go back over that, because it seems like, we're not understanding what's going on. And then I can show you what I've learned on it, and you can see it live on screen right here. Understand the Bible Radio. So I'll see you guys soon.
Please allow us to extend our deepest thanks, our humblest appreciation, our greatest gratitude for your fellowship here with us, sharing the letter of the gospel, the ancient definitions of Scripture. This is Understanding the Bible.